are going to be talking about the characteristics of Mesoamerica.
Mesoamerican's climate ranges from a humid tropical to cold mountains. There, it has dry deserts and low coastal plains. Their land formations consist of plateaus, peninsulas, mountain ranges, and low coastal plains, and also volcanoes. It covers only 0.5% of the planet, but it accounts for 7% of its biodiversity.
Their diet consisted mostly of corn, beans, and squash. The Mayans brought the 365-day calendar and used astronomical cycles for agriculture. The Olmecs were apparently the first to accept the concept of zero. The Olmecs also carved big head statues to honor their previous rulers.
Please. Two of the biggest tribes in Mesoamerica were the Olmec and the Mayans. Their daily life consisted of mostly farming, weaving, and fishing. The Mayans had to deal with the sea level rising and intense droughts, leading them to make forests into wetland fields to make ancient food species, including maize, which is basically corn. The Mayans were known to have been the first to domesticate dogs. Researchers said that most dogs were small like a chihuahua. Most dogs were raised for slaughter, and when you look at their bones today, you can see butcher marks.
This is how the two biggest tribes disappeared. The Olmec tribe disappeared because the silt in the river was too much and clogged up the river, so water could not flow. And then they had no source of water. The Mayan civilization disappeared because of a long-lasting drought that got rid of all of their drinking water, which caused them to starve and disappear.
This is a presentation on the Caribbean Islands
by Gracie,
Quinn, Cedar,
and Allie. The two tribes that we're going to be talking about today are the Kalingo and the Taino tribes.
Someone will stop the video.
I got this.
Continue.
We are going to start off by talking about the Taino tribe and their daily life. The Tainos were farmers and fishers. They characterized happiness and friendliness. Most men had 2 to 3 wives. It was an honor to be married to a Taino man. The general population lived in circular buildings with poles providing them primary support. They were covered with wooden straw and palm leaves.
The Tango's diet consisted of vegetables, fruit, meat, and fish. The Caribbean had no large animals, so they ate animals like earthworms, lizards, turtles, birds. Their basic food crops were corn and beans.
The Taino's lasting influence was the Taino tribe passed on their knowledge about their culture to the Europeans and Africans who arrived on the islands. The tribe introduced new methods of food preparations. The Taino tribe became a part of the Puerto Rican heritage by their food, music, dances, storytelling, and language.
After Columbus came to the island, Europeans followed and took over. Over the next 10 years, all but 32,000 of the tribe members had died from massacre, disease, or enslavement.
Perfect. Now we're going to be talking about the Kalingo tribe. So this is their daily life. Kalingo had the reputation of warriors who raided neighboring islands. The women in the tribes were responsible for raising the children. They planted the fruits and vegetables and also weaved the clothes out of cotton. Women would prepare and serve the food, though they were not allowed to eat with their husbands. Their houses were shaped like an octagon or a square with elevated on posts.
According to the legend, the Kalingo were actually cannibals who would roast human flesh. There is evidence of them taking human trophies of their war captives. There are also farmers who grew many crops such as yams, sweet potatoes, maize, and other root crops.
People believe the Kalingo tribe originally came from South America. Eventually, they had to flee to the isolated eastern side of Dominica. In 1763, when the British gained full control of Dominica, the Kalingo was officially given 232 acres of land. Their territory was expanded to 3,700 acres in 1903.
Around the 1920s, the Kalingo's population declined due to their inability to get along with the Indians arriving on the land, but about 3,000 of them are still alive today.
Today we are going to be talking about the Amazon. There are over 30 million people living in the Amazon. Over 20% of the Amazon has been destroyed in the past 50 years. They have one of the biggest trees in the world. People are trying to find more tribes there. The Yamian live in the Amazon along with the Kapu. They lived there for over 500 years.
There have been several ancient cities in the Amazon, but little is known about them. There are a total of 11 known ancient archaeological discoveries within the Amazon, with pyramids and complex waterways. Some animals from this part of the world are jaguars, the green anaconda, the poison dart frog, and the red howler.
The climate of the Amazon is tropical and hot all day long, every day of the year. The average annual temperature of the Amazon is around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature changes throughout the months. Their terrain is very dry and wet at the same time. It is also very rocky and also has steep hills. The first people to settle on the Amazon are estimated to have lived around 32,000 to 39,000 years ago. The hunter-gatherers lived nomadically for 4 to 5 years before moving on to their next temporary home.
When the very first Europeans arrived in South America, there were an estimated 6.8 million people already there. However, the Europeans brought diseases and slavery which the indigenous people couldn't avoid. The Europeans mainly affected the people that lived on the rivers because colonists used the routes to invade the indigenous people.
The diet on the Amazonian culture people eat all sorts of varieties of meats from fish, wild hog, insects, and winged animals. They also eat different kinds of organic products, mainly fruit, vegetable, spices, and nuts. These tribes are still around today, and there could be many more to come.
What you are seeing now is the region of Andes Mountains. The mountains are located along the western side of South America.
The region was home to many tribes, such as the Incan tribe and the Payas tribe, which we will be briefly talking about today.
The Andes Mountains are still home to many beautiful plants and animals as well. The life around this region was very diverse.
Llamas, chinchillas, cougars, condors, and bears all inhabited the mountain.
45,000 plant species take up the Andes Mountains, one of them being cacti. Many crops grew here as well, such as corn, wheat, potatoes, and tomatoes. The climate of the mountain range is warm and rainy. The land around the mountains is full of tall grass and bushes.
The description of the area is said to be quite extreme. Some parts are particularly dry, while others are wet.
The most known tribe from the area is the Inca tribe. The Incan tribe lasted from 1400 to 1533. The Incan was the largest empire in the whole world at the time. They also controlled much of the land around the Andes Mountains.
Daily life included established, well-rounded routines. The Incans didn't believe in gender roles, and respect one another deeply.
The diet was mainly vegetarian, so their diet consisted of mostly potatoes, beans, corn, squash, peppers, guava, and quinoa. As food
has left a great impact. Some things they changed were engineer techniques. The Incas didn't use steel or any modern tools.
Their architecture was also suburban, as some buildings are still standing today.
Civil war and European diseases are the two main causes of the Incan tribe decline.
The next tribe you'll be learning about is the Payos.
In the daily life of the Payas children, they observed their parents' work, and if they didn't observe their parents' work, they went to school. The children go to school from 1st to 3rd grade, but sometimes 6th if they don't drop out to help their parents farm. Some of the jobs the parents have is farming, building, weaving. For their religion, they practice a religion that is a mix of their own and Catholic. Diet including freshly grown vegetables, and they only eat 2 meals a day, a breakfast and a supper, and they usually drink water and juice with the dinner and breakfast, and they eat meat and vegetables for dinner and corn and potatoes for breakfast.
Historically, the Payas tribe was one of the largest, strongest, and most traditional of all indigenous tribes in Colombia. They developed a reputation with Spanish conquistadors as warriors and were very vocal and activists during Colombia's civil wars. They carried these attitudes of activism into the present and maintained local traditional government structures. These traditions remain despite the fact that they lasted 30 to 40 years because they brought extreme conflict.
Their reason for decline was because there was ongoing violence in the region. And at the time, armed groups and death squads have remained active in some areas. However, Paya's community members have been vocal in demanding their rights and participating in occupations of their territory. A number of activists have been killed in recent years.
Today we talked about two particular tribes, the Incas and the Payas, and the lovely landscapes of this area. This is all about the Andes Mountains area.